How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Sonic-Kusan here, and today I've got a stranger video. So, a few months ago, a YouTuber by the name of Bluerush1992 uploaded a video called The Classic Sonic Conspiracy, and I'm going to debunk this video, but at the same time, I'll be adding to it. So let's watch the video, guys. I'll be debunking it as well as adding to it, because I feel like parts of the video are correct and other parts are true, but they just need more evidence, and I found that evidence.
I feel like this needs to be addressed. Classic Sonic is not a younger version of modern Sonic. They're the same character, just in different art styles.
So Bluerush here has a really nice introduction. It's quick, so I can easily talk about it in one voice session. While I do agree that modern Sonic and classic Sonic probably canonically look very similar to each other, and that classic Sonic just looks shorter and chubbier because he's in a different art style, I don't agree that he isn't a past version of Sonic. Classic Sonic is clearly a past version of Sonic.
In Sonic Generations, it's heavily implied throughout the entire game that Classic Sonic is some younger version of Sonic who's yet to mature into the modern Sonic that's Sonic today. But that's wrong.
I don't think mature is the right word. Classic Sonic and modern Sonic seem to have the same maturity. I just think that classic Sonic just needs to learn some new moves to catch up with modern Sonic, that's all.
Sonic the Hedgehog is and always has been 15. Sure, people may want to talk about the birthday party at the start of Sonic Generations, but the cake itself never explicitly says Sonic's age, and neither does it actually change Sonic's canon age. Sonic, like his rival Mario, does not age. It's simple as that.
With the argument that Sonic doesn't age, that doesn't mean that there isn't a Sonic timeline. Obviously, Sonic 1, 2, and 3 happen in that chronological order. Sonic 1 Sonic is younger than Sonic 3 Sonic. Maybe Sonic may always be 15 forever, but that doesn't mean that Sonic 1 Sonic is not from the past.
Some good and some bad.
Bluerush, you missed the trash can. That's littering.
As much as Sega would like to get fans of Sonic to believe that Classic is a younger Sonic, they can't hide the fact that modern Sonic was simply just a design change to fit Sonic for a new era, same as Mario. While Mario got skinnier and taller compared to the fatter, shorter Mario, Sonic did the same. Is it the characters growing up and maturing? No.
Now, I completely agree with Bluerush on this point. Sonic has changed designs to fit the era that he's been in. With the rise of better graphics, Sonic has been made taller and to look a little more realistic as the graphics get better. You know, Sonic Unleashed Sonic looks way more detailed than Sonic Adventure Sonic. If you look at Sonic 4 episode Metal, you actually see that they use the modern design of Metal Sonic instead of the classic, even though it's supposed to be the same Metal Sonic from Sonic CD. And the fact that robots can't even grow means that Sonic hasn't really changed that much. It's just a design change for the audience. It has nothing to do with the canon. I mean, if Metal Sonic gets taller for no reason, then Sonic probably got taller for no reason, along with Tails and Knuckles and Eggman. Amy even has a flashback in Sonic Adventure where Sonic is carrying Amy while Metal Sonic chases her. Now, this is probably a reference to Sonic CD, and you can see that even though Sonic CD happened during the classic era, Sonic, Amy, and Metal Sonic have their modern designs in the flashback.
The characters changing designs does not mean they're getting older. In fact, in Lara Croft's case, she actually got younger.
That's a reboot. There's a new canon, so a different age doesn't need to be explained. Especially if you get younger. That doesn't matter anymore because it's a new continuity. I have a better example though. Ash from the Pokemon anime. He's been 10. I mean, he even breaks logic. He was 10 in the first ever Pokemon episode. Then, in the same series, he heavily implied that his journey has been going on for over a year. But then later, in Black and White, they say he's still 10.
It simply means that Sonic has never actually aged in actual canon, and his supposed modern, older version of himself is simply a lie. It's a design change that occurred around the adventure era to reflect the more edgier, more radical feels of the adventure games, and it managed to stick, with some minor alterations here and there. But it was kept mainly the same. Sonic was only changed for the times. He's never aged, he's never gotten older. Classic and modern Sonic are simply different designs from two different eras of what Sega wanted Sonic to be at the time.
Again, even though Sonic's design change was not because he was getting older and because it was made to fit a new era, all the classic Sonic games that are canon still take place before all the modern games. So that basically means he is a younger Sonic. Even though he doesn't age, the stuff that classic Sonic has done happens before the modern era. So it's still technically a younger version of Sonic. Or at least a mentally younger version of Sonic. I mean, like, he can't even talk! And Tails can talk! How does that work?
Classic and modern Sonic are simply different designs from two different eras of what Sega wanted Sonic to be at the time, and for what was most fitting for the environment Sonic was going to be in. This is evident in games such as Sonic 2006, where to fit the more realistic design of the environment, they made Sonic's design more realistic, and while for more bouncy and childlike games such as Sonic Lost World, they seemingly made his in-game model shorter, and he actually seems to look more like classic Sonic. Either way, don't get fooled by Sega's half-assed explanations.
I don't know why you're saying this is Sega's explanation. Again, in the continuity, all the canon classic games have always occurred before the modern games. So, it's always been like that. So we just went through the whole video, or at least I've taken out the most relevant, important parts and then put them in this video. But if you want to go to see the full video, I have the link in the description. So let's go back to the art style. Sonic's world is inhabited by a lot of different environments that take their own art style. You've got Sonic Lost World, which took on a much more cartoony environment, but then you have Sonic Unleashed, which uses a much more realistic environment. So like Bluerush said before, these environments basically affect how Sonic looks. If Sonic needs to fit into a more cartoonish environment, they make him more cartoony. If Sonic wants to be put into a more realistic looking game, they make Sonic look more realistic. But that still doesn't take away the fact that all the classic games occurred before the modern games in the canon. Sonic Generations does create a big hole in this theory, and it's that a lot of the side characters notice the difference in classic Sonic, so they question classic Sonic's appearance.
Thank you, Sonic. Wow, you look younger every day. What's your secret?
Now, considering that Amy is a creep towards Sonic, it's not surprising that she can notice smaller differences in Sonic. Maybe Sonic had less hair one day, and now, 2 days later, he's grown more hair. And then Amy can obviously see the difference there, because she's creepy, as I said. And I actually know a guy who's noticed changes in his senpai, so it's a very realistic thing. So if Amy's noticing small details, then that's not very unrealistic, since I knew a guy who could do the same thing as what I think Amy's doing. Now, Knuckles' interaction has him stating that Sonic has gained a little bit of weight.
Thanks, Sonic. You did a good job back there. Hey, did you gain weight?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Now, Knuckles' interaction has him stating that Sonic has gained a little bit of weight. And as Sonic runs faster more often in the modern games, he probably uses up way more energy, and that sucks all the life out of his stomach, making him skinnier. But I'm still wondering where all that leg muscle is. Now, when Classic Sonic interacts with Cream, Cream says that Classic Sonic has a new haircut. And while you guys may be thinking that Cream is referring to Sonic's spikes, actually Sonic does have fur, and you can clearly see the fur in the modern games much more. In the classic games, and in Classic Sonic's design in Sonic Generations, you can't really see any fur on Classic Sonic, while the fur is much more defined in the modern games. Obviously, this is just a small change, but Classic Sonic just may have shorter fur. Now with Classic Sonic's interaction with Rouge, it's different. Rouge says that Classic Sonic is nothing like the Sonic that she's seen before, and that's pretty much implying that everything about Sonic is different. Rouge just pointed out that all of Sonic is different from modern Sonic, and it's not just an art style change. There's a complete change in Sonic's design between the classic and modern era. And contrary to popular belief, bats are not actually blind. But then again, Sega thought hedgehogs couldn't swim, even though hedgehogs spend a lot of time in the water. So maybe they just thought that bats were actually blind and Rouge is actually secretly partially blind. That was a terrible way to get my theory to work. Also, I was looking through the Sonic Generations cutscenes for research, and what is Sonic and Tails doing? Were they about to secretly fist pump, and then when modern Sonic and Tails came in, they just, like, stopped? Could they even fist pump from the distance they were at? What was that supposed to be? Now, let's move on to SPO. Actually, let's not. He doesn't comment about Sonic's appearance at all. Now, with Blaze's interaction with Classic Sonic, Blaze says that Sonic is less spiky. Now, Sonic has always had the same number of spikes, because on Classic Sonic's 3D model, he basically has the same number of spikes as modern Sonic. And describing shorter quills as being less spiky is kind of weird. Especially with Blaze being a princess, she would probably use more appropriate words. Maybe she was trying to be less offensive, but that's something to consider. Classic Sonic being shorter than modern Sonic is definitely an art style thing, and that would include his spikes to keep his head in proportion of his body. But then again, Blaze lives in another dimension, so she doesn't see Sonic as often as his other friends, so maybe her memory is just a bit off. And Blaze only looked at Sonic during the birthday scene once, and that's when everyone was shouting happy birthday. Right after that, she went to catch up with Cream and Cheese, so she didn't really get that much of a look at Sonic to refresh her memories. Next, we have Vector's interaction with Classic Sonic, and just like SPO, he doesn't say anything about Classic Sonic's appearance. And finally, we have Charmy, who just basically states that Sonic looks different, nothing specific, and Charmy doesn't really hang out with Sonic a lot, just like Blaze. So when he sees Sonic is different, it has a much bigger impact than to, Tails, who's seen Sonic change slowly over the years. And unlike the other Chaotix, Charmy is just a kid. So maybe he's bringing up those changes because it intrigues him much more since he's got that child curiosity. But the changes that Charmy see are probably just small changes that people have from day-to-day life. So in conclusion, Bluerush is wrong about Classic Sonic not being a younger Sonic. His games definitely take place before all the modern games. So we've got that debunked. And even though the characters in Sonic obviously don't age, still Classic Sonic games still take place before modern Sonic, so he's still mentally aged, so he is still younger. And even though his body doesn't get older, his body is still living an extra day, so that's aging basically. And all of the things that Sonic's friends point out about Sonic's appearance could be just small little things that people change very often. And on top of that, Sonic doesn't even realize that Classic Sonic is another Sonic. He just thinks it's a reflection in a mirror. And Tails thought that Classic Sonic was the modern Sonic.
I'll be back soon.
Wow, you weren't kidding when you said soon. I thought you already left.
So if Sonic himself and his best friend can't see the differences between the older Sonic and the younger Sonic, then it's probably very likely to be just a design choice. Modern Sonic is just taller because of the art style. They just gave Classic Sonic and Classic Tails the old art style so we could differentiate between Sonic now and Sonic back then. But in reality, they probably look very, very similar, with minor changes that people are pointing out, like haircuts. How many times have you gone to school with a new haircut and then someone just goes, "Hey, you got a new haircut"? So there we go. Classic Sonic and modern Sonic look different because it was just a change in art direction. But that doesn't mean that there were small changes within Sonic between the classic and the modern era. And classic Sonic still is a younger version of modern Sonic because all his adventures take place before modern Sonic. So there you go, it's as simple as that. If you guys agree with me, then leave a like. And if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. Why not? It's cool. I get a sub. I like subs. I lost a sub. Also, you should check out my Twitter because I use that. I don't use Facebook or Instagram because those are just nah, not for me. You know why? Because YouTube has an option to automatically post videos that you upload onto Twitter. So that's pretty cool. That's why I use Twitter. My choice. Like, didn't YouTube have like a Facebook option once? Like, I've seen like a screenshot and you could manage your Facebook settings on YouTube. That's kind of strange. But I'm too lazy to post my videos on Facebook myself, so you know, go check out my Twitter. I also use Twitter regularly because Sonic's Twitter posts some pretty dank stuff. Okay, I'm rambling too much. Just play the outro.